Alrighty then, should be live. So this is another draft science, draftphysics.com, debatephysics.com video presentation. Yeah. Oh, people are just so impossible. Anyway, so we'll talk about Dispar's one mass versus three mass free momentum experiment. He was apparently, Dispar was apparently the guy with the fucking fuck his mother screen name, which is pretty tacky, frankly, and childish, and just demonstrates that he's really not up to having a reasonable, tacky, frankly, conversation about any of this stuff, so I really don't have any obligation to pay any attention to him. Yes, too ridiculous. So what do I gotta do here? Chat thing. Yeah, that's it. Pop out chat. There we go. Alright, so now I should be ready to commence the physics argument. Alright, so this idea that obviously I'm arguing that momentum is a really great concept. Okay, the idea that there's mass and there's velocity, and that defines what there is in the universe, and that you can have a big mass and a small velocity, and that will equal, okay, a little mass, m, yeah, it's a w, a little mass and a big velocity. And it just makes so much sense to think of things as happening in that way, like even the conversion of a bowling ball. You could understand that the bowling ball has an MV, and all it can do is really just, it hits the pins, okay, pins. And if I add up all of the action, of the pins, the MVs that the pins get, and then, and then I could even go further, and I could put the pins are inside like an insulated joule tank, and I could sit there and get all of the, when the pins stop moving, and I could calculate and collect all of the heat and just measure the heat over a giant surface or something, and that it's always there. The MV is always somewhere. So this is like Descartes' simple argument from 400 years ago, frankly. 400 years ago, he sort of figured out that, it looks like this energy stuff just keeps moving in the universe, and so it's the same energy just getting reused over and over, and all it is in a form that we find useful or we don't find useful in any particular circumstance. So like, I can do a geothermal thing, and put something way down into the ground and collect the 50-degree heat, where the heat is supposed to be waste and useless, and I can't do anything with it. Of course I can do something, because I can create a circumstance where the 50 degrees is way above the 10 degrees outside. Okay, and I can make stuff move because of that. I can, grab the energy. And so there's lots of ways to just understand that, theoretically it's doable. You can just keep catching the same energy. It's just that expensive to create a machine that can do that. But it's like you crush the fender on the car. Let's say you crash two cars. You can understand that you you have a bunch of you have a circumstance where you bend a bunch of metal, you do a bunch of crap, you've used up the energy bending the metal, but you really didn't use up the energy. And again, if you could, in some way put them inside of a bubble, the fact is the temperature will go up. If it's 70 degrees when it starts, it'll be 80 degrees after the crash. After everything stops moving, the air will absorb the heat, and then you could have some other system where you could run pipes through it, and you could collect that heat and then turn it back into straight line motion again. It's more useful. So it's not like you can't do it, okay? But anyway, the point is that that's all the universe is doing. And I made the point about how gravity works. That gravity is creating a circumstance where, everything's getting pulled together, but it's not really pulled because it's just being pushed, because there's a bunch of energy in the universe. And it's just, obviously the pressure is higher outside than it is, through the conversion of the earth. The stuff goes through, it's a little bit slowed down, so a little bit less comes out than went in it right now. At this exact moment, the force has been delayed. The heat hasn't gotten to me yet. The heat from the universe is hitting me, but the heat from under the earth hasn't gotten to me. If you think of heat as photons or any kind of little tiny discrete energy. And so I fall because I'm in a differential, a temperature differential. You could even understand it as. But anyway, so it all makes sense. It's just I just can't, it's just hard to understand why people don't say, well, yeah, that default simple answer is just so fantastic. Why would I mess with that? To do this stupid mv squared nonsense kinetic energy bullshit mush. Why? Why would people cling to that and think this is a better explanation? 25 times the fuel to move something 5 times as fast. I mean, it's silly. It's silly. I just don't know why people find it at all appealing. How they think that's, oh yeah, that makes so much more sense to me. That makes no sense at all to me. How do you make sense out of it? Well, anyway. So, so this is a classic physics thing. Now, they usually use little carts or air tracks to do this experiment. But obviously, I would argue that, well, we know springs are a little bit dangerous. Then you have rotation in wheels, and air carts have all kinds of, air tracks are got to have them level, and there's air pressure you're pushing up. It's introducing a force. If the cart tips a little, it's going to move. Lots of flaws. And so, in my opinion, this experiment, gets rid of all the inefficiencies because, that's the nature of hard steel or marble, glass. Newton found glass to be better than steel, but obviously steel back in Newton's day wasn't hardened steel. So, so obviously glass would be more elastic. So anyway, you have a one mass, okay, and in this case of the experiment that has been done, there's a 3 mass. But if you increase the mass, technically you'll get even more of this phenomenon will happen. So I'll get to that. And it sort of illustrates the flaw here is because, the fact is they don't do more experiments and to prove the point, okay. And so the simple experiment is that you put some energy in, and we'll call it 100 momentums. So the MV will equal 100. Okay, and this is in the 1 mass, and this is a 3 mass. And what they get out is you get 150, okay, momentums. So you start with 100 MV, and you have, going in the same direction, now 150. Now the simple argument I'm making is they're saying this velocity is 1/2 the original velocity this had. And no, it's not. It's 1/4. Okay. And so if at 1/4, 3 times 1/4 is 7, is 3 times 1/4 is 3/4, and 1 times 1/4 is 1/4, so that's 4/4. So if you understand that it is going 1/4 the speed, then it all makes sense. But at half the speed, then you got this idea of this free momentum thing. It doesn't make any sense at all. So they're arguing this is going with 150 momentum. I'm clearly arguing, no, it's only 75 this way, and you get 25 back this way. All right, so they say you get 50 back, and I'm saying, no, it's 25 back. Okay, so just to make the argument clearer, there's two. The simple explanation is they're mismeasuring the actual velocity. And so that's why I think something's happening that isn't really happening. It's just silly. So obviously you can understand this doesn't make any sense, okay? And that, if I did, create a mechanism that just rolled a new object into this side, and just got rid of the string and just had this ball hit this ball, that I'm now going to be making even more than 150 because I got 50 back and it's going to come back in and hit again. And so now I'm going to get double of what it hits with, which is 50 in the object. And so not double, I got 75. And so, I can get up to like 300 momentums. So I end up with 300 momentums going that way. So I start with 100, and I somehow made 300. And you got to understand that can't make any sense. I can't make free momentum. I can't make more momentum, more pushing force. Bowling balls work based on their momentum. If I give the ball more momentum, it'll knock down more pins. I can't create a system where I make free pin falling. I can't make more pins fall for free. I have to put the energy in. I can't get free energy. All right, so there's lots of other ways to prove this, silly. But it starts with this silly idea, okay, that if I had an anvil, okay, a hardened steel anvil, and I did this same experiment where I just hang a one mass and I swing it into the anvil. Their theory is, okay, and I start with 100. The fact is, their theory states that I put 200 momentums into the anvil, and I put 200 in every single time it hits, so it goes back with, let's say, 98, and so then it puts 200. It puts 196, and so I keep doing this so I can have thousands of times more momentum. So I just put 100 in. That's all I did was lift this up and let it go. So I did that tiny bit of lifting, and I'll get thousands, maybe 20,000. So if this was 100 joules, this would be 20,000 joules of energy into the anvil. Now there's no way that happens. It's ridiculous. I shouldn't have to argue it. Obviously, if it bounces back, the energy didn't go into the anvil. I mean, it's a duh circumstance in the sense that everybody knows. If I had a board and I just threw a tennis ball at it, you all know, right? I mean, you must have something close to this as a personal experience. That if the board wobbles, like it's half-inch plywood instead of 3/4-inch plywood, and it vibrates, the ball isn't going to come back with as much energy. So if I throw it against a brick wall, I get probably 75% back. Now I lose, unfortunately the tennis ball does this after it hits the wall, and so that's where the missing energy is. But the fact is if the board wobbles, I'm going to get 35% back, or I'm going to get some tiny percentage. And the more it wobbles, the more it moves, the less I get back. I can't give the board energy, that is, the energy it takes, and keep the energy. I can't get it back if it goes into the board. So you could understand that their theory is nonsensical. How is it possible that I can put twice the energy I have into the board and then get it all back? Get the full rebound. It doesn't make any sense at all. It can't happen. So, the Dispar asshole, he won't do these other experiments to prove his theory. So he won't crash a marble into, like, say you have a 1 mass marble and then you have a 10 mass marble. Okay. All right. Because now I'm going to get all of it back. Almost all. Like 80%. So if I use a differential this big, their theory says that this will hit. It'll give this almost twice. So we could say 170. So it starts with 100. I put 170 into this as motion. And this I get back, 90. Okay. And so it's going to come back in again with 90. And then it's going to put back, and so I'm going to get this huge amount of momentum into this object. I'm hundreds of times, let's just say I start with 100, I could end up with 10,000. So 10 times or even 20 times the amount of momentum in this object. So it's a huge increase in momentum. I went from 1 unit of momentum to 20 units of momentum. How can anybody think that's possible? I mean, it's nonsense. So again, if the more this thing rebounds, you have to understand the more it comes back, the less energy goes into the object. You've got to understand that's the truth. If the object doesn't move, I get almost everything back. The more this object moves, the less I get back. That's the experimental evidence. And so, he won't take it this step further. And he clearly won't try to make the free energy machine, where you just take this extreme to its extreme, where, like I said, you just have a trough with, balls that just have a tiny little incline. So you knock one out, the next one falls in, knock one out, the next one falls in. And so you could just keep knocking them in, just have the pendulum swing. It hits that one, this one takes its place, it hits this one, it hits this one, it hits this one, it hits this one. He won't make this free momentum machine, but he should, because his theory says it's possible. That's what he says does happen. All right, and obviously it doesn't happen. So the other part of it is, even with his silly example, the simple example, all right, I'm not making up numbers, you liar. I'm just going to block you. You're going to say something stupid. I'm not making up the numbers. This is an experiment. Professor Lewin has done this experiment with cards. I'm not making up any fucking numbers, you fucking liar. It's exactly what his mathematics states happens, you fuck. God, you people are just so... You have to constantly lie. All right, so the idea would be is you have the 1 to 3 thing again, right? So you swing this one in, all right? You're going to get 150%, right? So we won't even bother with a number, jackass. It's just a percentage. You're going to get 150% of the momentum is going to go this way, all right? And 50% of your original momentum will be going this way. Your silly physics says that, well, it's a 150 minus 50 because somehow direction matters. Now, we know in a lever, direction doesn't matter. I put 100 in this way, and even if I get 1.4, it's still going the opposite direction. I don't have any canceling directions. It's just bullshit. So direction doesn't matter. Momentum is always energy. It doesn't matter whether it's going up and down or whether it's going left and right. You can't cancel it. It's not unenergy. A nuclear bomb is not net zero energy. That's their theory. Their theory basically says because the energy goes in all directions, it means it's a net zero event. No momentum was created by the explosion. I mean, it's idiotic. All right, anyway. Oh, it's just so stupid. All right, so this is the circumstance they have. So, and then the fact is now, so it swings out, this swings back, it hits and it swings back, and now they're both going to hit each other, right? So they swung out and now they're both going to collide. And so now they're basically saying that I could have a car crash between a car with 150 and a car with 50. All right. And their theory is, that somehow I only get a car moving 100 out. So that's all I get. So I crash a car with 150 and another car with 50 into each other, and somehow only 100 pops out. Now, it's a ridiculous on its face, can't happen, and the simple truth is, no, this car has 75, and this car has 25, and so I get 100 out. That's the absolute truth. That's what's really happening. I didn't create any free momentum. It's just the fact is that you can, through an elastic collision, take a 3 mass and collide it into a 1 mass and have all the energy leave with the 1 mass. But it's all of this energy. It's 75 plus 25. It's not 150 minus 50. Because there's no way you could explain this. There's no way this can be explained, because in the two circumstances where I make this inelastic and I crush the fenders and make heat, I'll be making 200 joules of heat. If we say these are joules now, it's 200 joules of heat, and this is only 100 joules. So I can't destroy the joules. You can't create them. You can't destroy them. You can only transfer them. So that's the simple argument here. They're saying it's unreasonable for somebody to believe that energy is just transferred from object to object, that there's a certain amount of joules of energy, motion in the universe right now, and all you can do is exchange who has it. But obviously that theory doesn't work if you think light things going fast have more joules than big things going slow, because then if the universe is in small pieces, it has more energy than when it's in little big pieces. And that's just silly. So we'll read some of this shit. I don't know what that crown means. Yeah, I don't think there's anybody deserves a crown around here. So, but look, one moron making 400 comments. It's just, people are just such pieces of crap. The rocket equation has nothing to do with this. That's about fuel consumption. So obviously, if you create some other way of moving something besides consuming fuel, all right, then it's irrelevant. So if you have like a nuclear rocket or some other mechanism to disperse your energy out of a small container of energy, the rocket equation doesn't apply. I didn't say the rocket equation predicts 25 times more fuel. So again, that's a lie. Their theory, 1/2 mv squared, you motherfucker, predicts this. It predicts twice the velocity is 4 times the energy. 3 times the velocity is 9 times the energy. 4 times the velocity is 16 times the energy. 5 times the velocity is 25 times the energy. That's what 1/2 mv squared predicts, you dumb fuck. God, I can't believe these people are so dishonest. That is scalar crap again. What the fuck is a scalar? Draw me a picture of a scalar. What the fuck is scalar? Show me a scalar energy. Show me where it is, what it's doing, how it atomically functions. Oh, I mean, this is just a waste of time. So yeah, let's just fuck this guy off. No, let's just kill him. Yeah, there's no point. These aren't arguments. This is just a waste of time. Fuck you. 46 comments to say nothing. Well, let's see. Finally, he's live. What are you talking about? Like with an explosion, scalar energy could be drawn in vector motion. So how do you do that? How do you say the scalar is a vector? I mean, what's the point of saying this? If it was, then I'd understand it. If the scalar energy was a vector, I could understand it. I could just draw the vector. But I can't draw, well, its momentum vector is this, and its scalar vector is 5 times that. What sense would that make? Anyway. But scalar implies you can get energy from in the form of no direction. So again, it's pointless to say. A train going down tracks does not have any energy in no direction. How the fuck can it have kinetic energy when it hits something if the fucking energy isn't in a direction? mv squared says the velocity is squared. It says it has energy in the direction of the velocity. How the fuck can that not be a vector, you dumb shit? I mean, really, I don't know why you're typing this crap. What are these stupid crowns doing? I just don't even understand this. Why do these fucking comments, these chatty pieces of shit jackasses have little crowns? What the fuck is that? Let's see. Where does that number come from? What fucking number? Oh, God, I hate commenters. Oh, I hate fucking emoticon typers. Jesus Christ. I just shouldn't bother doing physics on the internet. There's nobody smart enough to have a conversation with. I just don't even know what the fuck are you doing. What is life guy, right? He's usually not an idiot. I mean, what the fuck are you typing this crap for? Like with an explosion, question mark. Scalar energy could be drawn in vector motion. What are you talking about? God damn. I mean, look, here's a rocket, right? Okay, you have exhaust coming out of the rocket, all right? And the simple argument is you're going to say, okay, it's got a KE. Well, doesn't the KE have to actually equal the heat of the exhaust? I mean, can it be producing more heat than the kinetic energy or less heat than the kinetic energy? And wouldn't the heat represent momentum? I mean, doesn't momentum cause heat? I mean, is there some circumstance where momentum is exchanged, without causing linear motion or something, where is there any circumstances where you can make heat without having stuff moving? That little bits of stuff have to move. That little bits that have momentum. So I'm just saying, it's just so obvious that, you know, you just measure the heat of the exhaust, and there's just going to be momentum. There's going to be mv of heat. It's going to be the same thing. It's just converting it into momentum. Yeah, and clearly the rocket only gets the mv. Okay, it doesn't get any of this kinetic energy. This calculated energy doesn't show up anywhere. It doesn't move the rocket. It's just amazing that people fall for this crap. So again, their physics says, you know, I mean, I just did. I mean, you know, so Steve Mould actually did the experiment, this stinking lying sack of crap, you know, and he got 265 bounces. So he bounces a steel ball, well, I guess it was glass, a type of glass, silica, against a hardened surface, same kind of material, and gets 265 bounces. And with every bounce, the theory is that twice the momentum went into the surface. So it's just a gigantic amount of energy. You know, just gigantic. You believe that can happen? 100 in, 10,000 out. That's their physics. You morons fall for that crap. I was asking the other guy. Well, the question you were asking wasn't in a very good form, I guess I would say. You know, so, I mean, it's pretty hard to read your statement as a question. Like with an explosion, scalar energy can be drawn in vector motion, but scalar implies you can get energy in a form of no direction. See, that doesn't really read very well. What the hell are you saying? Scalar doesn't imply no direction, it states no direction. It's like there's a flywheel or something. You know, they're saying the scalar energy is some magical flywheel. So there's the scalar energy of the rocket exhaust is some sort of magical flywheel. You know, and somehow it will do something if I want it to. I can use it, but I won't be able to find an experiment where I can actually use it. I can't move a rocket with it. I can't move a ballistic pendulum with it. I can't crush a car with it. So where can I actually do something with this shitty energy, this scalar energy? Where does it actually do any work? I wanted to know, how can some be considered energy with no motion? Well, I mean, obviously you don't even have to talk about scalar to ask that question. How can something have... Professor Lewin says it. It's got twice the momentum, but it has zero velocity. That's what he says. And you're just like, what the fuck are you talking about? We know if it has zero velocity, it can't possibly have momentum, right? That's not possible. So why are they saying something that's silly? All right, no. But whatever. Fine, okay. I'm just saying, the interacting between chatters. Yeah, I don't know how productive that is. Look at all this shit this asshole typed. Let's just see what this one was. Oh, I hate that it puts that damn menu up. Momentum. Gary, your arguments are purely semantical. Oh, that's just a lie, so yeah, fuck you. Yeah, he's just full of shit. Waste of time. Alright, so let's see. How many ways can I point out how just silly it is to consider there being any possibility of creating free momentum. Alright, so let's just do the Steve Mould kind of argument again with the lever. You know, in the simple argument, now you have to move the lever. So obviously some energy has to be lost because you have to actually move the lever with whatever energy you're putting in. But the simple argument is, let's just say for the sake of argument, it's only 10% or some limited amount. And the simple argument is, if I have a 2 mass on both sides, you know, one velocity, I'll get a 2 mass out or close to it, okay, with whatever minor losses. And a simple argument is, well, the lever will move exactly the same way if I put a one mass, two distances. So if I put a one mass, two distances, it will move twice the velocity, theoretically. Now, their argument is it moves 1.4, so it doesn't somehow. The lever doesn't move the same speed. Okay, it moves a completely different speed, and somehow it's a much slower speed, even though the object is lighter. But anyway, and you only get this 1.4, the velocity. Now, the argument, simple argument is all this has to be reversible. So their argument is I can put a one mass, right, going 1.4 velocity, and that equals a two mass going one velocity. So somehow they're saying 1 times 1.4, which is 1.4, is the same as 2 times 1, which is 2. That 1.4 equals 2. That's their physics. That's what they're saying to me. I'm unreasonable, and I'm a physics denier, and I'm all these evil things because I don't believe 1.4 equals 2. And this just proves that you can't conserve both momentum and kinetic energy. You have to choose one of them to believe in. One of them has to be real, and one of them is a fable. And it's kind of obvious, the law of the lever kind of points it out, that, yeah, the original momentum thing was a good idea. It was durable for 2,000 years. I mean, come on, I did it on my own porch, you know, the one mass at 4 distances, okay, against the 4 mass, okay, at 1 distance. You know, gigantic difference in the kinetic energy, and it oscillates perfectly. I mean, perfectly. Okay, it's a perfect balance. Demonstrating that this is the same E as this E. Same E. 4 mass, 1 velocity, same as 1 mass, 4 velocity. They equal. It's just simply saying small mass, big velocity equals big mass, small velocity. I mean, it's perfectly sensible. And they're saying, me seeing this perfectly rational, sensible, reasonable physical explanation is unreasonable. That their explanation is so much more proven by every fucking experiment. Well, it's not proven by this experiment. It's not indicated even by this experiment. So again, I watched the Mythbusters crash cars. 100-mile-an-hour car, 50-mile-an-hour car. The car only crushes twice as much. Why should I assume that your theory that, oh, the car couldn't crush 4 times as much because the metal got in the way, and yeah, it's not consistent, and you know, it changes, and so that, yeah, it's just coincidentally didn't crush as much. I mean, it's a bullshit answer. You know, why didn't the thing with 16 joules of energy hit something with 1 joule of energy going this way? 16 to 1. And the thing with 16 joules of energy doesn't win because they have the same momentum. The little thing going faster just doesn't beat the heavy thing going slow. And it's just a fact. It didn't win. Even though it's supposed to have 16 times the energy, it didn't win. Oh, God, yeah, well, that crown thing really is silly shit. It's pretty annoying. Ugh, creepy. Ugh, YouTube is just... Ugh. I hate to see the people that think this crap up. Oh, it'll be so cool. They'll have little crowns, and maybe we can have personicons and glitter poofy. I mean, oh, God damn it. I hate this planet. And then we'll play some commercials about, you know, cleaning the poo off your ass. It'll be really great. And people spraying their balls with, you know, smell good. It'd be really cool. And then maybe we can do one of those cure cancer kind of videos too, commercials. Where they say you just have to mix some salt with some pepper and it'll cure your cancer. Well, whatever. I hate it. You know what they should? It really is just irritating because instead of those kind of crappy features, they could have some kind of feature like how many channels has this person commented on, how many comments does this person make per day. They could give us some sort of interesting data about these different channels and what the fuck they do. We should be able to click on it and find out where you've commented on other videos and see what kind of crap you spew. Why isn't all that public? The very fact that YouTube doesn't even index, Google doesn't even index any of these comments. You can't search for them. You can't do anything on Google. I mean, it's just ridiculous. It's the internet. I'm supposed to be able to search for anything. Why aren't these comments part of the internet? Why aren't they indexed, as part of the internet? Why can't I just put that fucking screen name into Google and see what other crap you've talked on some other channel? Oh, that's right, because they want trolls. They don't want people. They don't want honest people with integrity, interacting on the internet. They want trolls creating drama. They want it to be a fucking freak show. It's just so tragic that we gave the internet away to this fucking corporation. But I digress from the physics. Come on, fucking battery. Yeah, it's got juice. Guess my coil is croaking. Come on, get hotter. I needs my nicotine. Oh, there it goes. That's a little better. All right, let's see what else we can say on this related subject. Well, again, I did this where I drew it all out, and it's just so obvious that you can do the Newton's cradle with two equal objects, and you could understand that yes, this one has the full vector, and then this one gets the full vector. Just exchanges the energy from one object to the other one. And if I make this a tiny bit heavier, okay, that unfortunately now the energy can't transfer because this has more mass. And so some of the energy has to be rejected. And so this is going to get less of a vector than it would have gotten if it was the right mass, because the energy just would have gone straight through. And it means I'm going to get some of it's going to go back this way. And so if 10 goes back this way, then it's 90 went this way. It always has to be that way. And so if I make it a little heavier, okay, I'm going to get even more back now. And so now this is going to have 30, and this is only going to have 70. And that's the way it's going to happen. And, until you get to some conclusion. And so this is basically the same argument as, if I launch the object off of a wall with a spring, right, I can expect a certain velocity to come out of that spring compression. But if I put two objects between the spring, two things that can move, I'm only going to get 1/2 of that velocity. So this velocity and this velocity won't match, because this one's going to take half the energy, obviously. Half the velocity is going to go this way. I mean, this is so obvious, and how could they get this wrong? How could they think it's possible that this has 200 in here? You know, it's just impossible. It's silly. I shouldn't have to do this over and over and over. Let's see. I need to finish your previous video, but that professor was so disrespectful. He wasn't disrespectful. He was childish. It's okay. I'm not demanding respect. You can even call me an idiot or a fool or something. That's okay. I'm not going to get all butthurt about it. But that's all he has. He doesn't have any arguments to make. He just keeps saying, go see a psychiatrist or something. Like this is somehow a statement. It doesn't mean anything to me. So, fuck you. I want to hear a physics argument. Explain to me how it actually works. He's not going to do that. Yeah, it's like the internet has become this big conglomeration. I don't like that word either. Why can't I talk anymore? Well, I guess it's age. You know, your brain just doesn't do words as well. Conglomeration. There we go. Conglomeration. I'm just looking at that damn M and it's fucking me up. Conglomeration. Oh, still wrong. With only a few apps. I don't know what that means. Only a few apps. There's 50 zillion apps, but they're all crooked. I'm just surprised they don't, that somebody doesn't make template apps, that are actually functional and allow you to just personalize it yourself. Like there should be an open source app that allows you to do wallpapers. I shouldn't have to pay for an app, or I shouldn't have a commercial app, or there should be a public domain app that allows me to upload a video, turn it into an active wallpaper, and put it on my Android. This shouldn't be an issue. And it's just sad that those basic functions aren't even free anymore. I mean, I remember they used to be, 10 years ago, apps were free and they actually worked. And now they often don't work and they're not free. So it really sucks. I mean, the whole, using a tablet to do anything is pretty fucking annoying, frankly. My friend went to prison in Indonesia for 7 years. Yeah, well, frankly, he wasn't my friend, but he was somebody I liked. Okay, we liked each other, but I didn't like some of the shit he said was stupid. But anyway, yeah, he made the mistake of, he was not a very attractive guy, and I guess, he was going to score some points by being a hero for a girl. So a girl smoked some pot, he took responsibility for it, ended up in prison, and died there. Yeah, so really bad. Really, really bad. Just horrible, frankly. So, you would think that the authorities could figure out that, yeah, he's just covering up for the bitch and, cut the guy a break. But no, they just had to be draconian, silly Muslims. And you're just like saying, fuck Indonesia. It should get what it deserves. Well, it's already getting what it deserves. Ooh, you're going to defend it? Salman Yubli? You're going to defend idiotic, moronic overkill. Way overkill, especially when it comes to foreigners. You should be grateful that people come to your stupid, skanky country to teach you fucking English. You should be appreciative of that. And instead, you're draconian, motherfucking cunt religious asswipes who should be fucking goddamn... Yeah, you can't get it any worse than you deserve, you fucking piece of shit. God damn, kill people for marijuana offenses? Fuck you! I mean, I'm no defender of drug use, but it's just ridiculous overkill. Especially when you know foreigners will often pay, $10,000, in a fine or something. So just fine them, collect your fucking money, and leave it at that. But to fucking take civilized people and throw them in those death holes you call a prison, that's absolute bullshit, you fucking jackasses. Ugh, anyway, fucking, it really is just such a madhouse. As I can't remember the guy's name in Planet of the Apes. What the hell was his name? With that Charlton Heston line, it's a madhouse, a madhouse. Just that stuck with me as a kid. Well, I did a video on springs. I mean, this is a subject I already tackled, so I'm kind of surprised you didn't see that. But if you go to the debatephysics.com, right near the top of the page, there's a video called Regarding Springs. And yes, it explains that very phenomenon, that springs behave like a tennis ball. Like I said, if you look at a slow motion of a tennis ball hitting a wall and bouncing back, you'll see that the tennis ball is doing this when it leaves. It's oscillating. So obviously a bunch of its energy isn't linear motion. It's this motion. It's going, the wobbling motion. So you've lost energy to wobbling the ball. And so obviously you can't get back all your energy because you wobbled it. And so obviously when springs are absorbing energy, they're not wobbling. But when they're releasing it, they're wobbling. So after they push something, they're still moving, which means all the energy didn't get out of the spring. And the lighter the thing you're pushing, the more energy stuck in the spring. And the heavier the thing is you push, the less energy you'll leave in the spring. So yes, you have to, again, these are variables, and physicists don't want to acknowledge the existence of these variables. They want to say springs always do the same thing, and they want to say friction and gravity is always the same, and that you can't slide across thin ice. That's what they want to say. It's not true, of course. You can slide across thin ice. Sorry for the pausing. But yeah, this nicotine thing is just a real problem for me. Can't get past it. But I do have to work on it. Fuck it. They don't want to work on it. Alright, so just for the Despar asshole, just for a final statement. So what he needs to do is an experiment where he crashes something. I don't care if it's a car or whatever it is. And so he crashes a proportionally 1 to 3 mass ratio and have one of the objects with 3/4. Well, no, it's not. Yeah, 3/4. 3/4 of the speed in this object and 1/4 in this object. All right, and show me. Yeah. There's something wrong with what I'm saying just because. Yeah, it's obviously not 3/4. I mean, the 150 is. Yeah. I'm sorry. 150 is 5/4. Yeah, 150 is. No, it's 6/4. So they're saying there's 6/4. Yeah. So okay, forget about doing percentages. Let's just say the absolute thing. So let's just say whatever it's going to be, newtons or joules. Just say that one of the objects has 150 units of energy, and the other one has 50 units of energy. And what we need to see, okay, is that collision, and only 100 comes out. So that's the experiment you have to show me. You have to show me where 150 hits 50, and only 100 is left. Somehow the other 100 disappears, vanishes, isn't in the universe anymore, doesn't leave as heat, doesn't do anything, it just doesn't exist. That's what you have to show me. Because obviously in the Newton's cradle, when the one ball going 50 hits the other ball going 150, the problem is that we know there's no losses anywhere. We know the Newton's cradle doesn't lose any energy, not much at all. The collisions are so clean and elastic that the energy transfers without much heat. And the only way you can transfer it with heat is to force the objects to stay in contact. So as long as you allow them to reflex, bounce, there's no heat. So you have to explain how you have 200 going in and you only have 100 coming out. Because that's not going to happen with car crashes. Fact. So I'm just saying it's reasonable for me to doubt your experiments because this experiment you can't do. Yeah, you can't have that event. What you're saying is true can't be true because this can't happen. 150 and 50 can't equal 100. It's like things running into each other, or it's an implosion. You can't have an implosion with 200 going in and only have 100 bounce out of it. It's not possible. I don't know how you could call it a nice vape. I got this on the street, and I shoved my own coil inside of it, and I'm using, a battery and wires. It's a shitty vape, but whatever. It's free, so I like it because it's free. Fuck. It does suck being poor. And yeah, I really should just buy a vape, but I just keep promising that I'm going to quit, and I just don't. Yeah, it barely works. So I mean, it's barely working. That's why I have to take it apart and I have to fiddle with it because it's not enough crap. It's not got to find some more tissue paper or something to yes, it's not really working. Ugh. But anyway, it doesn't matter. It's not really a good subject. You see this little charred bit here. Yeah, I can't use that anymore. It's too charred. So I'll put a new piece of, I don't even know what this shit is. It's this piece of a shirt. Yeah. Yeah, nothing really works very well. I bought like this cotton stuff that you're supposed to buy for vaping, and it, oh fuck, I dropped it. And it burns up so goddamn easy. It's just like, it's fucking useless. You're better off with like shirt cotton or something. Because the stuff that's supposed to work doesn't work. But whatever. It's really not a proper subject, but too bad. I just have to put a different coil in this thing now. It's gotten melted enough now where it's I can use it in a completely different way with a different coil now. Since I've melted some of the foam. Yeah. So I've ingested a bunch of melted foam. Whatever. Too late to worry about any of that crap. Stuff you do once you get a certain age, it's kind of for free because, the stuff that kills you is the stuff you did when you were 25. Let's see, but physics has the budget to do so many experiments. Yeah, that's too bad they don't. I mean, the Eddington experiment is just such a glaring one. It just shows the fact that the physics is so uncredible. Because it's such a cheap experiment to do from space, and they've never tried it. I mean, the experiment that so-called proved Einstein right, and they haven't done it from space. I mean, all they have is the Eddington version, and he said in his own journal, I wouldn't stake my life on these results. So, I mean, that shouldn't be proof. Physics shouldn't claim that as proof. What you're going to call proof should be a lot better. Now I got to fiddle with this thing some more. Life is difficult. Okay, I'm going to pull this sleeve out of here. And pull that out and then shove that on here. Trying to get both of, oh shit, I dropped my, oh shit, I dropped that too. Fuck. Getting old sucks. Getting old sucks. Getting old sucks. Getting old sucks. You lose dexterity, you lose everything. A little bit at a time, it all fades away. Oh, fuck. That didn't work. I don't have time for this bullshit. Fucking with me. If I will just stay for a minute. Almost. Failure. Close, but no cigar. Alright, close enough. Alright, let's see. What age do you feel like mentally? So there's no point in saying that kind of stuff because, obviously you don't really age mentally. But, it's undeniable. You trip over your age. It's rubbed in your face now and then. I mean, I had a stroke 20 years ago, and, I got back, most all of my functionality, but now that I'm getting older, my brain is a little bit blah, 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 and now my leg, doesn't work some days. Some days I have a little bit of a draggy foot. So it's like little things like that just remind you, oh, you're old. Let's see, showing what you say wrong. Yeah, well, that's the whole point. I've asked them to do that. That's the whole point. I don't even care if they make a buffooning video. Just play my content and explain how it's wrong. But they won't do that. Yeah, I wonder what they would say too. That's the whole point. Let them explain. I mean, even like I said, the 25 times the work to move something 5 times as fast, they should be able to say, okay, I agree, there's no evidence that that's true. I can't show you an experiment because it never happens. Well, apparently it is an event. That is kind of funny, I mean, just the whole idea that, yeah, I was born at just the right time to be me. And it is just kind of funny that how the hell did I end up in this position? I mean, I'm just amazed. I really am amazed that out of billions of people on this planet, I'm the only one who hears the words 25 times the fuel to go 5 times as fast. And I say, fuck that. That can't be true. I'm the only one who has that reaction. They have a double slit experiment and they say, well, the photon is going through both slits and then it interferes with itself and then it singularities and then it superpositions and then it goes to the target. Maybe. I mean, and say, fuck you. That can't be the answer. That's not the answer. Too silly. Gravity's caused by a bent geodesical thing. It's a scalar. Scalar gravity. I just can't believe everybody else fell for this crap. I mean, even the drawing of a photon. I mean, how the fuck could people fall for that pile of shit? It's going this way, and it's going this way, and then it's going that way. It's the dumbest, simplest thing in the universe, and it's got all this complex motion, and you're just like, how the fuck does a photon know how to do all that crap? I mean, snakes, it's like snakes can't even snake in both directions at the same time. How the fuck does it do all that shit without any muscles or anything? Your PFP is kind of scary. I don't even know what that means. PFP. Ugh. Yeah, I don't know if, people don't need to be drunk. People are just stupid. I mean, they're just so fucking dumb. Yeah, the orbital model was just, as a kid, I was like, no, you're just wrong. I'm sorry. Don't, you can say this crap, but it doesn't make any fucking sense. I mean, you listen to them and you're saying, what? So as soon as they did this crap, oh, there's a thing called the shared electron, right? So, I mean, my immediate reaction was, okay, there's a nucleus here, and there's a nucleus here, and they're sharing this electron. And then there's another electron over here, and there's another electron over here, and there's another one here, and they're sharing this one. Okay, so that made I'm saying, okay, that's how I would do it. And then they told me, no, this one's going around here, and then it's going around here. That's how they're sharing it. How the fuck would that work? When the electron's over here, why the fuck would this nucleus hang around? Right? There's net positive. The negative's way over here. It's not going to hang around. It's going to say, I'm out of here. That's not going to, that isn't going to bind two atoms together. That's not going to make, hard things. That's not going to make stuff hard and secure and well bound. That fucking bullshit. And then you're arguing, well, how can it fucking do that? Because you explained to me how orbits work, and I can't do this transition thing right here. None of this would work. I could never get the right velocity to acquire to stay in both of these orbits. I'd end up flying over here, flying out this way. I couldn't possibly do it without changing my velocity. So the whole thing is idiotic. And it's just like they're so confident. Oh, no, that has to be the truth. We say so. And that's all they got is we say so. And the whole world just does it because they say so. Not because they show so. They just say so. What a stupid question. Who's the dumbest person you guys have ever met? What does that even mean? I mean, if I gave you a name, would it mean anything to you? Let's see, his name was Bobby. What was his last name? I don't remember. But yeah, he was a little mongoloid kid. He was pretty dumb. Yeah, but it's a mongoloid. But you're going to know who that is? No, you're not going to know. I have a profile picture? I don't think I have a profile picture, do I? I don't know. Maybe they deny velocity has any meaning. I don't know even what that means. I don't know how could you possibly do that and be sensible. They clearly think velocity has meaning in the sense they know it's a vector and all this other crap. So, but yeah, I mean, scalar is just a word. It doesn't mean anything. What the hell? Who invented it? I mean, Thomas Young, the guy who did the double slit experiment, ironically was the first guy to publicly use the word energy. So that's kind of an interesting fact. But I mean, who invented scalar as a concept? I don't know. I know it happened in the 1800s, but when did they come up with that word? Whatever the fuck it could mean. Well, it's okay. You can ask questions, but it's a physics channel. It's like, asking who's the dumbest person isn't really very useful for my purpose. I'm just saying I'm not really a chatter. I really do want to talk about physics. Well, it's not a very straightforward question. You got to admit that, don't you? If everybody responded with the name of a person, we're not going to know that person, so it's not going to mean anything. I mean, somebody says Jill Jilly. Is that going to mean something? Oh, I remember Jill Jilly. No, they're not going. I'm not going to know who that is. Ah, shit. Come on, smoker. You can do better than this. Quit disappointing me. Yeah, okay, whatever. You don't even have to ask an intelligent physics question, I don't think, but hard to say. Little pukey icons. Well, that's nice. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what I just don't know what the big fascination is. And, oh yeah, I'll go through the whole 65 years of my life and try to find the dumbest interaction I had with somebody. It would probably be an interaction with a cop. I remember, just as a funny story, I was hitting golf balls in a park that isn't really used much. So, it wasn't like there was anybody using it. It's tall grass. It was just, it's just a field, frankly. And so I was hitting golf balls, and I'm wearing shorts. It was like a 90-degree day and no shirt. And they're really, there's no pockets in the shorts. And a cop pulls in and starts interrogating me because somebody broke into a house and stole jewelry. And you're like, you can't possibly be doing, he asked me for my ID. I said, what ID do you want me? I don't have any ID on me. It was so ridiculously silly. So I guess, if you want to talk about a silly interaction, you're just like, what the fuck could that possibly be about? Except I just want to fucking harass this guy for no good reason. Because there just couldn't be any logic that would say, yeah, I just broke into a house, stole jewelry, and then decided to hit some golf balls. Yeah, that could really happen somewhere. Well, you could say a Jehovah's Witness, right? Like the Jehovah's Witnesses were always so funny, because I'd ask them, okay, well, what's the big deal? What am I going to get for being a Jehovah's Witness? And it's a life forever growing potatoes was basically the story. Like heaven isn't actually a place. Heaven is going to be on earth. And the heaven will be is you just live this forever life of planting potatoes. Like it's a little house in the prairie or something. And you're just doing it every day. Planting potatoes. And you're just like, oh, yeah, oh yeah, sure, I'm going to buy that ticket. No, that sounds like hell. I'll surrender. Let's see. Anything here? Listening to a nihilist Christian conservative. Yes, that is irritating. You are staring into my soul spooky. Whatever that means. It's my college ID photo. Oh, okay. William R. Hamilton coined the term scalar. Cool. In 1840. See, I was really close. And apparently coined vector. Huh. You know, I don't know. That doesn't sound right, frankly. But anyway, it's good to know. I don't think I've heard of Hamilton. I wonder if he's the guy who did the Hamiltonian. So that would be some version, some perversion, perversion of Newton's. But it just is kind of a, you're just like, how the fuck they could say, well, your speed is a scalar and your velocity is a vector. But my speed is 60 miles an hour and my velocity is 60 miles an hour. Huh? Yeah, you're just like, what are you talking about? It's just too ridiculous. I came here from Wikipedia Sucks because I recently got banned for trying to make an article on someone. Yeah, well, I got banned for just talking. I didn't try to change anything. I didn't try to post anything. I didn't try to do anything. I just wanted to explain why the article is incorrect. And they just wouldn't have it. You're not allowed to do that. So yeah, I have I can't answer the question, what is scalar energy? I can't answer it because nobody's ever drawn me a picture of the scalar energy. The non-directional energy. I mean, even energy in a spinning wheel has direction, in the sense that each atom has a vector and it's moving. So, I mean, the idea of scalar just you can't do anything with it. So anyway, damn, I'm just disappointed here with my damn smoker not smoking properly. So anyway, I'll get out of here pretty soon, I guess. I had a pretty good day today, actually. I mean, there was so much irritating crap. I mean, the comment section is just full of shit. You know, in the videos. And it's just kind of funny, but it's one of those days where, you know, you have a project, like something's broken, and you're going to fix it, and you're doing it out of parts you can't be sure of, and this, and you know, and all this, but everything went perfect, and the damn thing works, and you're just like, you know, a couple hours work, and it all worked. It doesn't always happen that way, right? You know, so it's just nice when some repair goes well. It's just like, oh, that takes a load off my mind. So that's all life is right? Things that take a load off your mind. Oh, I don't have to spend the next 5 days trying to figure out why it isn't working, and yeah, it's really nice when things go right. It's like when you put a computer together, you know, and you're taking parts off of different computers and shoving them together, and the thing actually works. It's just very satisfying. Anyway, scalar energy was first discovered by... Discovered? What are you talking about? It can't be discovered. By a Scottish physicist, James Clerk Maxwell, in 1831. So I'm just saying, I don't know. If Maxwell used the word scalar, well, then why did it say the other guy invented the word? So that doesn't make any sense. Let's see, who's got a school shooter as his icon? Because I'll just go block him. Is that the bread guy? Why is your profile picture? Oh, okay, so yeah, we'll just block him then. That's just too silly. I mean, these people are just so disgustingly troll. You know, they're just... What the fuck is wrong with you? I mean, why do you want to keep making heroes out of these people? Why do you want to keep doing that? Clark, whatever. I googled scalar energy, and it gave me articles about people healing themselves with scalar energy. Yeah, that's the funny part too, right? As soon as there's a word that doesn't mean anything or doesn't make any sense, somebody turns it into something that you can fix your butt warts with. Oh, you got butt warts? Yeah, just rub some scalar on it. Ah, the battery's dead. That's why it isn't working. Yeah, that's a good reason. Yeah, alright. Solves that problem. Damn chair can't roll. These are really weird batteries, right? I took them out of a Dyson vacuum cleaner somebody threw out. And they're not the standard size. You know, they're not the standard lithium battery size. They're bigger. So, you know, they don't fit in any of my rechargers. So I have to recharge them with alligator clips and bullshit. And it's just annoying. Everything's annoying. Well, almost everything. Just about everything. Even these alligator clips are so... Well, I did find these in the garbage too, I have to say. So I guess alligator clips you find in the garbage, you can't expect too much from them. But they make them so cheap, and they're just like almost useless because they're so cheap. The handles fall off. Yeah. But whatever. What the hell is that on my screen for? What the hell is that? I don't know. Let's see. I remember seeing an ad that you had to tan your butt. Well, I frankly did a lot of butt tanning in my day. I lived in a nice place where I could just, I could roam about naked now and then. So, yeah, it does feel healthy. I don't know if skepticism is the right concept, though. I mean, to be a skeptic, you need to know the difference between reasonable and unreasonable. So I don't even know what the point of being a skeptic is, in the sense that, I don't know. I just don't know if there's any replacement for being not stupid. I mean, I guess the real enemy is misinformation. So it's not like you need a volume of information, but whatever information you have in your brain, it has to be good information. So it's all about quality. So if you don't cling to any bad axioms, you don't fall for any stupid tricks, then your brain will work pretty good. Well, whatever. I don't know who it is, and I don't care, and so, whatever. Some guy did crazy stuff on the internet. Yeah, well, there's actual commercials on YouTube now for all kinds of wacky shit. I mean, they actually had a guy selling a free energy machine. And you're just like, man, it's so bad. Damn, this vape is going to really piss me off. Okay, I just give up. Give up, Gary, give up. I gotta just concede the coil is fried. Alright, we'll go back to version 1.4. Alright, see if this one will work better. Yeah, that was better. Sounds better anyway. Alright, so let's see if anybody says, come on, say something physicsy. Some of these physicists have terrible character. Yes, that's the whole problem. You know. See, it really shouldn't matter. Like, we shouldn't have to like each other. You know, we shouldn't have to. It's just the idea of arguing the physics, and they just won't do that. And you're not really arguing physics. You're arguing evidence. So you're just saying, show me. You know, like I could just make the simple thing about the stupid slit experiment, right? So I just pointed out how this, a single impediment, creates the same pattern as this, a single opening. So why are we worried about slits or openings when we know this will create the pattern and there's no openings? So you have to be able to understand, well, of course, it has to be something that surfaces are causing. So, you know, the single slit is the two surface experiment, and the double slit is the four surface experiment. I mean, just getting a counter argument to that simple explanation that isn't this obvious, that this isn't about waves going through openings. It's about photons going next to surfaces. And the fact that, you know, Newton proved it with the aperture. You know, you start the aperture big, all the light goes through, you don't see shit. You know, you make it smaller and smaller, the odds are that more and more photons are going to be near the surface. And you make it really, really tiny, you almost guarantee that all the photons are going to go by a surface. So you're going to get all fringe and no light in the center. You know, I mean, it's just so obvious. You have to have all these arguments for decades now. It really is going on decades. Type 2 diabetes has now been classified as late-stage dementia. Well, this is just too silly. Those types of ads. Well, there was one ad by a black guy who was actually saying in the video, Whitey, okay, is saying we black people has diabetes, but Whitey's a lying bastard and he's cheating us, and you know, we black people, we don't get no diabetes. I mean, it was that bad. He was just basically arguing it's a big fraud and a lie that black people don't get diabetes because they have great African blood and they can't possibly get diabetes. And you're just, it was so fucking racist, and you're just saying, why did they let that commercial on? I didn't see it a second time, so I have to say I guess they did get rid of it. But I mean, it was just so bad. Ah, that's good. All right. I think we'll give up. And, I really should have done more physics, but I am tired. It's been a long day. Oh, I should see if anybody has said anything interesting on the videos. Yeah, I'll take a quick look. And I should check my email, I suppose. Let's see. This made me laugh. Okay, so I said something that made somebody laugh. I love how grouchy you are. Well, that's not very useful. Let's see. Yeah, the relativity thing was funny. So there was one comment where I said, what I don't believe is that moving the target makes the arrow fly crooked. Yeah. So I did that in a video where I just moved the camera. And I said, do people really believe that I'm actually moving? Ooh, you actually believe that, huh? You think I'm actually moving? Yeah. I mean, it isn't that bad. I mean, their arguments are so lame. It's just like, oh, come on, you can't concede that a reasonable person could figure out that, no, I'm moving the camera. I'm not really moving. The camera is moving. Yeah. And you said, I have to explain this to adults? Oh, fuck. It really is horrible. All right, let's see if I have anything in my email. It's interesting. Let's see. Oh, the Professor Science. Yeah. I've been kicking it around some, but trying to think of why KE doesn't seem outlandish to me, and this is what I've got. I've always been a little bit of a car guy. Cars are rated in horsepower. Power is how fast energy can be put down, whatever that means. The engine produces a certain amount of power. It's generating energy. It can produce a certain amount of energy at a given period of time. So what? What is this? You know, it's just so ridiculous to go through all this nonsense. You know that the momentum is the net product. It's like watts in electricity. All you're saying is how much watts does it have? You know, all this mush doesn't change that. Obviously, the engine makes the car go, and that's momentum. Momentum is mass times velocity. Go faster equals more momentum. Yes, directly proportional. Yes, I think we're on the same page there. So he's agreeing with me, and he already said that no, KE is right because it takes 25 times the gas to go 5 times as fast, and now he's saying it's directly proportional. You know, it's just, you know, you're just like, oh man, I just want to blow my brains out because this is just such bullshit. Well, anyway, let's see. I mean, it's at least polite. Okay, so he's not using his ragged shit anymore. Why can't I spin my tires and burn out when the car is at a very low speed, but when I'm on a highway, I can't? Well, well, I guess because you can't create 500 miles an hour. You have to have the difference in the potential. So if you're already going 50 miles an hour, it's hard to create a differential in the tire speed because you have to make the tires go 50 plus. So you have to go 150 miles an hour. Acceleration, I know you don't love the word, is slower the faster you go. No, it's faster. It's obviously gravity accelerates you more, okay, in the sense that you have an existing velocity. So the acceleration increases your velocity, and your velocity keeps increasing, and the velocity is free. Why is that? Okay, here's a video that touches on the relationship between horsepower and torque, so this will not be interesting. All right. Well, I'll have to watch that later. If we dig a little deeper, we'll come to understand we must change the gear ratio as we go faster. Well, that's irrelevant to the subject, too. That gear ratio results in low force applied to the tires as you move up in gears. The faster you go, the less force you get out of the engine. It doesn't really matter. All you're doing is subtly changing minor parts of the efficiency. The bottom line is how much fuel you burn will decide how much torque you get, and the speed changes how much friction you have with the surface. So yes, at high speed it gets harder and harder. You have to use more fuel because you have less friction. Anyway. So at least that's a big improvement, frankly. So we'll see if he has some other. He's emailing me from his multiple personalities. So I get an email from his doctor email, and then I get an email from his Professor Science email. I don't publish under my real name, so I kind of ragged on him for using my real name. And so let's see what he says about doxing. So you think that you can insult people who are right. He keeps saying that somehow he's right and I'm wrong, and he knows that because he's a special person that knows the truth. In your crappy videos and explicitly telling me their name, as you did in my case. You publish under your name. It's right on your email. It's right on your channel. It's right on your debunking page. You publish using your name. I don't publish using my name. You can't understand this difference either. This isn't a wave-particle duality. It's a rational-irrational duality. You're being irrational. You don't need to use my personal name, and you have no reason to do it because I don't publish using it. And not undergo any sort of retaliation. Retaliation for what? I use the name you publish under. You don't understand the concept? I mean, yeah. He's got his picture and his name on the email. Sorry, I wanted to play dumb. I wanted to play dumb. You won. Okay. You thought you were smart by punching the ball, but the ball just hit you back in the face. Where's that? And total energy was conserved. Yep, that's real. He's like a schizophrenic, for fuck's sake. And then he says, P.S. loser. So one email he's doing this, and the very next email he's talking like, okay, let's have a polite conversation. I just don't get it. It's just so ridiculous. Anyway, just part of life on Earth. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I think the guy really is a little bit of a schizophrenic or something. Hey, my email's broken now. You won't show me my inbox. Well, it's probably because I'm doing this streaming thing. Yeah, it just won't work. That's really weird. Alright. Doesn't matter too much. Okay. Alright, so that was interesting. Nothing else of interest, I don't think. James Wilson. Who the fuck is that? Discover your data security setup and keep up with your growing client base. Wow, I can do all of that. I'm so interested. No, I'm not. So it's signed by Stephanie Clark, and it was from James Wilson. So James Wilson sent me Stephanie Clark's email. Okay. Oh, spammers. They're just... They need to get what they deserve. And such. So what the fuck is this one? The site provides an innovative combination of casino offerings, sports wagering, and immersive live dealer interactions. Ooh, I can have a dealer interaction. Ooh, I'm so excited. You're just like wondering, who the fuck do these emails, like, who clicks on this shit? Huh? Yeah. Well, I know it's not me, but I mean, it must be somebody, I guess, right? I don't know. It's rather bizarre. Alright, back to you people. Let's see, what did we miss? Old fellow balls. Old fart balls? Old frail balls? I don't know. Does it take 25 times the work to go 5 times as fast? Question mark. I've dropped a 1 mass going 5 velocity on a spring and dropped a 25 mass going... Oh, so this is dispar again. They produce the same spring compression. So people really believe this. You have 2 completely different momentums. And gigantically different momentums. I mean, not even close to the same momentum, okay? Like... 100% more momentum. And he's going to argue that they do the same thing to a spring. I mean, it's just too stupid. Because momentum is weight. 2 things that have a different weight cannot weigh the same. That's not possible. Alright, they produce the same spring compression, proving E equals mgh. Bullshit. So, okay, fuck you. You're just so desperate for attention. Just find something else to do, retard. Okay, your experiments are absolute garbage. Your last video that I played where you had the floating cube in space that somehow is collecting gravity but it's not being held up by anything was so preposterously nonsensical. It was so not even close to anything I've suggested as a possibility, and yet you were saying somehow I need to argue that? Your counter arguments are insipid and silly and stupid, and you're a waste of my fucking goddamn time. So just fuck off. Find something else to do with your life, you stupid creep. Jesus Christ. All right, Val Revenue. His name's not that complicated, but I mean, you try to read it and it just doesn't work, but it sounds really simple. Anyway, attack Gary's looks, but I'd like to see him age as well as Gary has. Well, obviously he looks like he's about my age and he looks like hell, but he's probably 45, right? Yeah, so, it just is kind of silly. Like I said, even if I'm ugly and I don't know it, the truth is I don't know it. So you're not going to convince me of it, because I see myself every day and I don't see it. So obviously you're not going to make me see it. So you're going to fail if you try to hurt my feelings by saying I'm ugly. It just isn't going to work. I'm really vain. Okay? I'm really happy I look like me and I don't look like you. That's just a fact. So you're not going to change that fact. You know, you could wear a pink hat, you could do lots of things, but it's just not going to make it happen. I'm never going to want to be you. All right. How it went, something, whatever, like power. I don't know why you're bothering with this. I don't even know what you wrote here. U something I equals P. I don't even know what the fuck that is. Anyway, I'm think more than half must be AI emails. Okay. I don't know. They seem pretty stupid to be AI, so, but whatever. Who knows? I don't know. AI spam. I don't know what the point in that would be. But who cares? Whatever. The fact is none of it even has the appearance of being something that could actually work as a scheme. And that's the part I find funny. Yes, I figured that out. Thank you, involuntary suffering. I have figured out that was this far. It's all so bad, truly. Yes, it's just bad. So what is all this vomit stuff for? I mean, it's not a very pleasant thing to be doing, you know, even in a chat room. As far as life and meaning mindless marbles is an idiot. Yes, that's true. I don't know, has Marbles done anything recently? I haven't looked at his channel. It's got to be 6 months. Because he just did that silly thing where he'd post my video and then say, "This is another bad science video," and it's like, that's all you would say. It's a bad video. Yeah, okay, bad. Why? Emojis was a mistake. Oh, okay. I don't know what that means, but I didn't make them, so somebody else made them. I didn't do it. So I don't know whose mistake it was. I didn't hit them, whatever. But anyway, it doesn't matter. It just isn't. Yeah, it's not brain candy. I mean, you could show like is there an emoticon for a roadkill cat or something? I mean, that's not going to cheer anybody up. You know. A group chat called "Do Not Gary." Wow, isn't that cool? Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, well, pretty ladies are, it's really worth the trouble. So I don't even know anymore. Immersive human interaction is just too messy. think they, I'm just so disappointed that they never did anything interesting with the whole virtual reality thing. Because it's like, we should just have like a tickle me Elmo kind of, like you wear a suit, and the, and the suit has all kinds of things you can touch. You can make twitchy things, and then you could have this system on the internet where you can twitch each other. That would be so much more interesting than the nothing they have done with the whole virtual reality thing, the whole virtual interaction on it just should be mechanically more interesting than this. It's just not, and it could be. It's just lame and weak. Because this really is a personal thing in a way, right? I mean, this interacting is, we have a distance. We don't even have to see each other. We can just, kind of touch each other in the dark. It has a distance, but it's a real relationship, right? I mean, I've known some people on the internet for, decades. Like even the modern mystic. I mean, you can't untangle my brain from his brain in a way. What he has done has affected me, and it's a real relationship. So even if you don't like each other, even if you hate each other, even my trolls, it's all part of this environment that you exist in on the internet. And even if there's weeds in the garden, they're there. They're real weeds. You have a real relationship to them. And it's just, it's so undercapitalized, I guess is my point. It's just made so unsincere by allowing all of this trolling and allowing all of these fake accounts and all of that kind of crap. Just ruins the fun of it, or what could be the fun of it, the genuineness of it. It could be so much more genuine instead of this, this crap, emoticoning. Yeah, it's way underdeveloped. Haptic bodysuits. I don't know what a haptic means. But yes, as long as it, it's got to be anatomically correct. Yeah, well, I'm quite confident I'm right. So, it is sort of an amazing thing, that some didn't even go to college person, okay, somebody who, look, I wasn't ever totally unqualified because as a kid, I blew stuff up. I tested everything. I mean, I broke things and then fixed things. That's what I did. So the fact that I would be a science inclined, certainly you could see that writing on the wall. But just the idea that there was so much of this physics that was bullshit. I knew it was bullshit, and I was right. It was bullshit. And I didn't have to. Well, it did take me a long time. I mean, because it's hard to get the bullshit out of your head. Like I said, the slit experiment is just so obvious. There's no opening here. And yet, I'm going to make the same pattern with these two surfaces that I'll make with these two surfaces. I mean, simple things like that. And you miss it. You can't see it. And because they've filled your brain full of crap that it's about something going through an opening. And you can't get that out of your head. So they break your capacity to think. But I mean, it's all so clear once you break through some of that shit, it all falls into place. And so, yeah, I mean, everything I found is confirmed by all the next thing I found, and the next thing I find, they all confirm each other. I don't know how you could be scared of me, frankly. I've never hit a woman. I've never done anything, you know. I'm not a violent person. Unless somebody does violence to me, I'll defend myself, but that's all I've ever done. I was never a bully. I was always the victim. But yeah, I'm not going to be abused. That's for sure. Well, it is interesting, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I have to just say, watching my life, I didn't think, you know, you just don't anticipate this stuff. I never thought about being a scientist or winning a Nobel Prize or being recognized as somebody who thought of something brilliant or any, you know, it just never even occurred to me. And then I do it. You know, I actually think of things that are innovative and clever. And the fact that nobody else sees it, you know, it's just so funny. Because you think that would be the hard part. It's like you've painted the most brilliant painting. And everybody thinks it's just, you know, a shit wipe. You know, they just don't see any of it. And you're just like, how can you not see it? You know, it just doesn't make any sense. I mean, I thought the easy part would be explaining the physics. And getting people to say, oh yeah, I get that. I thought that'd be the easy part. The hard part was figuring out the 2 + 2 + 3 physics. That was the hard part, figuring out how you can create a simple mechanism that makes both attraction and repulsion. That was the hard part. I thought it'd be the easy part is I show you a damn thing working and you say, yeah, okay, that's got to be the right answer because it's so simple. I mean, it's like the Rubik's Cube or something. You know what I mean? It's just some idea that, oh, that's a really clever mechanism. And I'm just saying it's undeniable that the fact is I came up with a way to create repulsion and attraction with just, you know, 2 kinds of force, 2 kinds of matter, and 3 interactions. And it perfectly creates the circumstance. And it's just like, I should just get credit, even if it's wrong. I should get credit because it's fucking brilliantly simple. Yeah, well, they want a wooey answers, I think, what it comes down to. People hate me because I want to turn it into a deterministic gulag, you know, where you're fucked. You know, I mean, you know, the world is this crude mechanical thing, and there's no wormholes, there's no singularity, there's no heaven to go to. There's nothing. And they have to believe in something. So it's just religion creeping back into the human consciousness. They killed religion in the 1800s, and then they just remade God again. Oh, well, you're just too silly. Blithering Genius is an asshole nihilist, so he doesn't know what value is. He doesn't know that pain and suffering and bliss, these concepts are fundamentally value-rich. Feeling good and feeling bad are value situations. And the fact that he doesn't understand that makes him the dumbest motherfucker. I mean, nihilists are so dumb. I mean, how could you just say there's no value in the world? There's no value in the universe. You have conscious organisms experiencing torture, and you're going to say there's nothing of value happening. I mean, it's just an amazingly insipid statement. Yeah, it is tricky what reasonable doubt, what it turns into. What I mean, what's a reasonable conclusion? And it's just that's the real argument is how do you oblige people to be reasonable? And when they don't have evidence, that should be one of the, that should be a huge giveaway when in 400 years they haven't tested 1 pound dropped 4 feet and 4 pounds dropped 1 foot. They had 400 years to do the experiment and they haven't done it. To just even contemplate this simple, what speed does something have to travel to weigh its weight? The fact that no physicist has ever asked this question and done this simple experiment. Why not? Why not tell me what speed something has to go to weigh its weight? I mean, it's the fact that in 400 years it never occurred to them. I mean, it's just too silly. It's obviously just a religion. They can't see or look or imagine outside of their Bible. If it isn't in the textbook, they can't think about it. They can't know anything. They can't even opine on the subject because the textbook doesn't reference it. So it's like talking about bacteria to a Orthodox Christian. They can't deal with the subject because the Bible doesn't have any bacteria in it. God makes diseases. Bacteria don't do it. Yeah, well, 12 Angry Men is an interesting movie just because it has to be the movie I've probably seen more than any other movie. And I'm talking about maybe hundreds of views, but not with the sound on all of them, of course. So, I always had it playing in the background on I have a tablet that's always running videos, and it's not a tablet; it's just a. They call those something. They're the old things that used to just flash images, but they can play video, so it's one of those things. And so you can make videos that'll actually play on the... It's called something, like a screen something. Yeah, photos. Well, anyway, doesn't matter. You can see in my old videos, you could see them in the background. I still have one, and so, well, anyway, so I always had 12 Angry Men on it, and I already knew all of the dialogue, so you could just watch it without sound, and, so you could be doing something, it's take a little break and watch a little bit, and, so anyway, but it's just kind of funny. It is probably the movie I've seen more than any other movie. And even with the sound on, like I said, I've probably watched it with the sound 100 times, probably. Did you guys watch Chicken Little? No, I don't. There was no watching Chicken Little. That wasn't a show, I don't think. Okay, don't want to keep you up if you're tired, but that experiment, would you like conventional physics to do? Well, we've already been over it 400 times. I've detailed over and over the experiments that could be done, and they haven't done. I just did one. This experiment. I really want them to do this. Swing different masses into a scale and see how fast they have to go to read their weight. The most important element, one that would be embarrassing for them to find out the result. Well, I mean, this one will tell you that there's a constant speed, 1 mile an hour. Elephant, 1 mile an hour, reads elephant weight. Mouse, 1 mile an hour, reads mouse weight. So it means that in gravity, you're going 1 mile an hour. Your weight means that the constant force is a 1 mile an hour on your weight force. That's very interesting. Because then it tells you that 2 miles an hour is twice your weight, and 3 miles an hour is 3 times your weight. That's what it'll show. Don't know what that means. Here's freezing and snowing at 60th. I don't know what that means. Anyway, it doesn't really, I don't know what that means. You live in the North Pole? I don't know what it means. Don't want to keep you up. Oh, we already did that. Alright. But yeah, all the lever experiments really need to be done well. You know, that's the whole point. I love the movie Chicken Little. I see, you're just so weird and irrelevant. I just don't understand you at all. It reminds me of Gary trying to tell everyone the truth, but they just won't listen. There's a movie called Chicken Little. I mean, it's such a, you know, it has something to do with the sky falling because an apple hits the stupid chicken on the head. I don't know. So, yeah, whatever. I just, you know. Yeah, I just don't see how you could make a movie out of that. But whatever. I don't see the comparison, really. Well, it is depressing. It's going to be winter here soon enough. Not in the mood. The weather was just so weird. I mean, it's nice and warm, nice and hot, all that kind of stuff. But we had like drought and then too much rain and then drought and too much rain. And, you know, my garden just didn't... The flowers did okay, but, you know, all my beets were like little... shitty little beets. I mean, 2 years ago I had beets as big as grapefruit. And it's like nothing, you know, nothing grew very well. The tomatoes did well, but yeah, nothing else did very well. I mean, I'm going to have almost nothing for the winter. Have to buy vegetables. But anyway, I shouldn't complain. I'm better off than many. Okay, well, I don't know what my zucchini were bigger last couple of years too. Yeah, it's just, like I said, it was just, the cucumbers were very good actually. You know, I did do okay. I mean, for, you know, 2.5 months I had a cucumber every day. But yeah, they you know, they didn't really make it into September. You know, so, but I still got a couple of big tomatoes, you know, that are green. So hopefully we don't get a freeze before they ripen. But yeah, just, you know, like I said, I had so well planned out the garden. It's going to be, you know, going to be my best year ever. Blah 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 blah. Like I said, I got just all these little scurvy beets. They're just scurvy. I have to pick like 6 of them, for one dinner. But anyway, like I said, I shouldn't complain. I'm good at it, so I complain because I'm good at it. See, I use rainwater to water, and so that's part of the problem is, because you have to pay extra for water here. So, you don't like to use water on the garden if you don't have to. But that was part of the problem is I just didn't have enough water. The droughts were too long. All right, well, anyway, I've been in here long enough, I guess. It's time to get the hell out of here. And I got other projects to complete and whatever. Blah, 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 blah. So, anyway, this was probably the most, the second half of this video was really a waste of time. But anyway, it's just, sorry about that. I'm not saying you people wasted your time. I'm just saying that, from my perspective, it just wasn't very physics focused. And I'd like to stay focused. So I'll work on that myself. Wish I knew what the hell you were saying. I don't know what that is. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, you're still on this Chicken Little thing, right? Okay, it does kind of remind me of Gary, and an apple falling on his head and him being shown the truth at a young age. Well, again, none of that happened, but anyway, I don't get it. Missing too many whatever from my lollipop. I don't even know what. You kind of spooky. People are spooky. Yeah, there's weeds, and then there's really ugly, strange bugs. You're just like, ooh, oh, there's a strange bug in my garden. Anyway, yeah, he's obviously something impaired. He's got encephalitis or something. His brain is all stuck to the outside of his skull or something. Well, I don't know. The whole getting drunk is kind of just such a... I don't get that either. I mean, a little buzzed I can get, but drunk I don't get. I just... Yeah, no, it just doesn't do anything. Don't need it. Never really got it, frankly. The only times I got drunk was mistakes, where I just accidentally drank too much. But yeah, it's just no point in getting drunk because you just get stupid. There's no point in getting stupid on purpose. I don't think there's any point. I don't get it. Yeah, I really don't get it. I mean, I found alcohol useful, actually, when I was in school. It's sort of, I take a drink before I went to school, so I had a, bottle of rum I kept in a stream, and so as I'm walking to school, I'd, give myself a shot. And, and yeah, just it did enough to just make it possible to tolerate going to prison. But yeah, that's the only time I can think that it ever did me any good. Yeah. Didn't give me more personality, I don't think. I I don't know, you get really silly, stupid drunk, yeah, then everything's funny and it's sort of like pot a little bit, but you get really drunk, you end up with a hangover. It's just a lot of headaches. I just don't get it. It just doesn't appeal to me. Now that I'm getting older, it's, you feel disoriented and broken all the time anyway, so you really don't need something to make you feel fucked up because you're already fucked up. But whatever. Yeah, well, that's the day. Well, that's the problem with drinking, right? Is that, well, it makes you stupid and then you drink too much. Yeah, that is the problem. Yeah, it didn't wake me up. It did. I don't know what it did exactly. I guess it was a stimulant in some sense. But it just did take the edge off somehow. It just made worrying seem pointless. So, it made me worry less. Something like that. I mean, it worked, is all I'm saying, I guess. I'm just saying that it did make it easier for me to tolerate my life. But anyway, enough said. Blah, 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 blah. So we'll move on, see what tomorrow brings. Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like I said, I had a friend who killed himself drinking, and it was just so weird. I met him after he had recovered, and so he was dry for 7 years. And he got involved with a younger woman, and, he got, he was so insecure in that relationship that it completely fucked him. And so he decided to have a beer, I guess, or something, and it was, and you just had to watch this. He'd come over to my house, I'd have a fire in my backyard or something, and we'd just sit there and bullshit. And, and every night he'd be drinking more and more, and then it was hard liquor, and then it was a fucking half gallon a day. He had a 4.7 blood alcohol level when he drove into somebody's house. I mean, it was just, and it was so frustrating because there's nothing you can do, right? And you're just like, God damn it, this shouldn't be difficult for you to, for me to get you to understand this won't work. Lighting yourself on fire, this will not end well. And it's just, you just couldn't get him to let it go. And that was even after he did get busted, and they put him in jail for a week. And so, technically he was a little bit dried out. And so it should have been easy for him to come home and say, okay, I'm not going to do this light myself on fire thing. And but he did. So, he died of cirrhosis, and, he was still drinking, so they wouldn't give him a liver transplant because they were like, fuck you, you're still drinking. Let's see. It actually proves kinetic energy. What's that? Your Mythbustered episode doesn't prove any. I mean, it's just amazing they says it actually proves kinetic energy. I mean, that's just so silly. It doesn't come anywhere close to doing that. It creates insane amounts of doubt regarding the viability of kinetic energy. It's just irrational nonsense. I mean, these people are just so lame. Ugh. I mean, they should just admit, the Mythbuster car crash thing seems kind of suspicious. Maybe it's not proof that there's no kinetic energy, but damn, it is a pretty good piece of evidence against it. But no, they can't be temperate. So we're talking about temperance. They can't be temperate with their excessive confidence. And they just are saying, I must believe in the Holy Ghost. And it's like, no, I don't have to believe in the Holy Ghost. There's just no good reason for me to do it. You know, just, it's so lame. I mean, they can't be honest about any of it. All right, that's enough of that. I said I was going to go about 4 times now. But I'm actually going to do it this time. All right. So, till the next time and such, try not to do anything stupid. Yeah, it can't hurt to say something like that, right? Try not to do anything really stupid. Oh, what is this? Professor Dave fan. That's a funny name. Yeah, you're clever. Well, anyway, I won't miss him. That's for sure. Some of you are, you know, I don't. It's hard for me to miss anything really. Yeah, because everything sucks. But anyway, you know, it's you know, there's all degrees of suckiness. So, oh, we actually had 12 people in here. Wow, 12. Okay. Yeah. Well, it's just any day now. This will be a real channel. All right, anyway, till the next time, and such, and so forth, and whatnot. I'm going now.